All right, welcome in. We are live from San Antonio. We are back in the hotel. We just watched an all-time collapse, an all-time comeback, depending on your perspective. If you're a Houston fan, it was an all-time comeback. If you're a Duke fan, that was an all-time collapse. I truly cannot believe what I just saw. Maybe we shouldn't be so surprised because both teams hinted at throughout the year doing this. You know, Duke has had problems putting teams away. Not that they lose the games, but Duke has problems letting teams back into it. They stop running offense. Houston just will never, ever, ever, ever die no matter what. And that's what happened tonight. Oh, my God. I'm absolutely stunned. I was not prepared. I'll be honest. I sat down in this chair with like 10 minutes left, and I was going over my Florida-Auburn notes because I thought we're just going to lead with that game. The Houston-Duke game wasn't much of anything. And here we are. That was the game of the night. And Florida-Auburn was also incredible. What a start to the Final Four. It's been just as good as we were hoping it would be. And we're going to dive into all of it. But first, I want to talk about DraftKings. The finals for March Mania are here. And the only thing for sure is it's the last time to bet on college basketball this season. It's been an amazing ride to get here, full of unexpected happenings. Maybe there will be more. And I'm guessing there will be more. Get in on all the action, unexpected and expected with DraftKings Sportsbook. With live betting, exclusive content, promos, and parlays, DraftKings is the ultimate college basketball destination for March. Ready to make your first bet? Check out the matchups and pick a team to win. It's that simple. First time, here's something special just for you. New DraftKings customers, bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Bet the unexpected with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code TITUS. That's code TITUS, T-I-T-U-S. For new customers to get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5 only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. I can't imagine what live betting on Houston would have made you. I don't know where to start with this. I don't know how to contextualize it. I don't know if this was a Duke collapse or a Houston comeback. It obviously is both. I think for me it's probably more of a Duke collapse. As those of you that have been following the show all season know, I was very high on Duke this year. Even coming into this Final Four, I felt like this was Duke's championship to lose, which is what the odds said. It's what basically every talking head was saying. But I was always careful to pay respect to the other teams. There was a world where Duke could lose. And having said all that, I think we did the live show at the River North Ice House, the Barstool show, and I think one of my parting thoughts was I could see Duke losing in this tournament, but it's not going to be a situation where I don't think the gap between Duke and everyone else was so big that if Duke loses, I'm going to be saying, holy fuck, how did that happen? And feel like I need to call my dad crying and just be like, Dad, did you see what just happened? I didn't think it was going to be that kind of moment because I respected Houston and Florida and Auburn too much that if Duke does come up short, I won't be stunned to that degree. And the reason I say all that is because now we're here and I'm watching it happen in front of me and I am absolutely stunned. That was a historic all-time NCAA tournament game. And what's crazy about it is Houston did not even play well. Houston was not good. I'll start with I don't know where to start. My mind's all over the place. LJ Cryer was awesome. I think maybe we start there. LJ Cryer ices the game with the free throws. He was a guy that going into this game I was worried about. Again, respect to him. He's a hell of a player and an All-American, but after what Duke did to Mark Sears in the Elite Eight, I was worried LJ Cryer is not a tall fella. He's going up against the tallest team in Division I, a great defensive team, and I was worried LJ Cryer just wasn't going to be able to get his shots off. He wasn't going to be able to create enough one-on-one offense in this game. And boy, he proved me wrong. He was incredible tonight, taking all sorts of tough shots, making all sorts of tough shots. The 1-3 that he curled off the down screen at the top of the key in the second half, and he ended up shooting it from the free throw line because he was his momentum was taking him towards the bucket, and he hit that one. And that was probably the fifth hardest shot he hit of the night, but that one stood out to me. I was just like, God damn, this guy is on fire tonight. He was great. He had 26. Did he end up with? Let me see what the box score. Let me get a box score in front. Yeah, he had 26 and hit the 8 for 14, 6 for 9 from 3. Was 4 for 6 from the free throw line, funny enough, for a guy that almost never misses free throws, but hit the big ones when it mattered most. Tyrese Proctor, what the hell were you thinking? Tyrese Proctor towards the end when Duke couldn't inbound the ball, then they do inbound the ball, and Tyrese Proctor seems like he wants it, and he's the guy that's going to be the – he's not a senior on this team, but this is a younger team, and he's the guy that's been at Duke the longest. So he's like, I guess I'm going to be the leader here and knock down these free throws. And then I didn't remember him being a good free throw shooter, but the way he was so confident with give me the ball, I'll make these free throws type attitude. And then he goes to the line, and the graphic pops up, and he's like 68% free throw shooter. And I was like, what the fuck did you want the ball so bad, Tyrese? And then he bricks the first one. Juwan Roberts obviously hits his two. I mean, there's no one moment in a comeback and in a collapse like this that you point to and say that's the reason it happened. But, you know, those are the moments, I guess. Is Tyrese Proctor clutch free throws? Not a great free throw shooter, 60% free throw shooter, misses the front end of the 1-on-1. Meanwhile, Juwan Roberts, which we gotta call it what it was. It was a terrible call. Cooper Flagg over the back call was terrible. I think Cooper Flagg should probably not have gone for the rebound like that. Maybe be a little smarter, you might say. But at the same time, it was just a bad call. So like I don't want to blame Cooper Flagg for trying to make a play when it wasn't even. It was a bad call. It wasn't over the back. But Juwan Roberts gets fouled. He's a 65% free throw shooter or whatever it is, and steps up, fucking stones on that guy to hit 2 free throws and win the game for Houston. Just an incredible comeback. I thought Houston didn't play well at all, and I mean that respectfully. I thought their defense was great. It was kind of like for the first 30 minutes, it played out exactly like I anticipated. It was that, yes, Houston's defense was giving Duke's offense problems, and Duke has the best offense in the country. Those wide pin downs they run, and they get a guy curling off a pin down, and then, you know, he can catch with the momentum and put his head down and get to the bucket, or he can stop on a dime and hit an elbow jumper, or, you know, if the screen setter's man's helping out, he's got the pocket pass right there for an easy dunk. There's just so many options. Or they can, you know, drive it to the rim and then dump it back to the screener. They're just kick it out for 3. They have so many options off of that. They have so many options off the high ball screen and the short roll and all that. Their offense is just so hard to guard. And I didn't expect Houston to shut them down, but like Houston has such a good defense. And you know, we talked about it the last show. You know, when Reegs and Tate were joining me, and Reegs was very high on Houston. By the way, shout out to Reegs. This is a legacy game for him. Reegs said, I think Houston's going to beat Duke. Although I must admit, I'll get back to the point I was making here in a second. Reegs did text me, just for posterity here. Reegs texted me at 9:57 p.m. Central Time. So I don't even know what point this was in the game, but I imagine Houston was down 14. The legacy game is dead. I'm basically happy Gilmore doing the "you were right, I was wrong" speech. Duke just smothers people. That's what he said. And then I responded, hell of an effort from Houston, though. They just can't get enough clean looks. But yeah, they brought it tonight. And we just kind of had a conversation about how like Houston's tough, but like Duke's just too good. And then we had that conversation. And then you look up and Houston's back in the game. But shout out to Reegs for legacy secure, I guess.
Legacy back. I think the only reason why you're here right now is because you thought it was over. Like you were at the game.
I was at the game. I want to talk about that a little. Yeah, but I knew we were gonna go live, so I wanted to make sure, like, you know, because having a game in like that and then us not going live for another 45 minutes because I'm walking back would have been stupid. So I didn't come back early because I was like, Duke's gonna win by 40. But yeah, as I was walking back, I was like, well, I think it's kind of. I mean, Duke was only up 6 at halftime, but it was just that first half. I'll get back to the point I was making. I was talking about Duke's offense and how hard they are to guard. I knew Houston was going to be able to. Like Reeves and I talked about that, and Tate, we all talked about that. The Houston's defense and their toughness is going to be something that Duke has not seen all season. And as much as I did like Duke, that is a concern would probably be overstating it, but it was something that I was like, yeah, that has my attention. Like I do want to see how this young Duke team will respond to physicality and to, you know, like not making what they feel like are easy shots, which I think a lot of that was happening in the first half. Duke left a lot of points out there, a lot of points on the floor. I felt in the first half, just a lot of layups, a lot of easy floaters that weren't going in. And it's a credit to Houston and how physical they are and how long they are at the rim and challenging shots and all that sort of thing. But I thought what was going to get Houston in trouble and why I was so high on Duke in this game was that, yes, Houston will be able to slow down Duke's offense to an extent that like we really haven't seen, especially in the NCAA tournament. But I just didn't trust that Houston's offense would be able to score enough on Duke. And that's, you know, like, and that's how the game was going for 30 minutes was like, yeah, if you just looked at the Duke offensive possessions, Houston was guarding them pretty well. And Duke would score because, of course, you're going to score. It's a basketball game. Like, no one's going to be held to 0 points. But, you know, it felt like Houston was doing a good enough job on that end. But that was only half the game. And meanwhile, when Houston would have the ball, they just Cryer was incredible. Cryer was playing hero ball. Emmanuel Sharp had one shot. Like Houston goes on like a 5-0 run early in the first half, and Duke calls a timeout, and all the Houston fans were going nuts in the stadium, and I was like, what I'm going to say sounds like I'm making fun of them. I'm not, but the Houston fans were going bananas, like they just went on like a 25-0 run. And the reason that stood out to me was like points were so hard for them to come by that hitting like 2 buckets in a row just got that place going nuts. But I think Emmanuel Sharp was one of them. I think that was a deep 3 he hit where, you know, how he'll do from time to time where he just like pulls from 35 feet away. So he hits one of those. But outside of that, like I felt like Houston's shots were just not like the quality of shot Houston was getting in the first half and for the first 30 minutes of the game, as opposed to the quality of shot Duke was getting. Never mind whether they were going in or not, but it's kind of the same story of a lot of these Duke games. It was like Duke was just getting much cleaner looks than Houston, and that seemed to be where we were headed with this game. And Houston gets down 14 because they're guarding Duke well, but they just couldn't string together enough offense on their own end. But then it became do or die time, and this motherfucker Kelvin Sampson. I don't know how. I don't know. I mean, I guess the how is that he's a psychopath. He's an insane human being and an insane coach, and he just instills it in these guys, man. And we saw it from Houston. We've seen it from Houston a lot. They've only lost like overtime games. Like there've been a handful of times where they were not playing well and they pushed the game to overtime, and then, you know, a couple of them they lost. But like the game that comes to mind as I'm watching this unfold, and I'm sure everybody's going to point to that exact same game, was the one in Lawrence in Allen Fieldhouse when I remember I was out at a bar. I think was that a KB birthday? That was the KB birthday. That was right. We're out at the bar, like a Kansas bar, watching the game, and there was like 4 minutes left, and it was over. It was done, and I start walking out the door, and then all of a sudden Houston starts making a few plays, and they cut it to 5, and then I turn to my wife, and I'm like, let's not leave yet. And we're like watching the end of the game, and like right by the front of the bar, because I'm like, Houston just like won't go away. And then a bunch of chaos happens. They have like a literally the exact same situation where they're pressing Kansas. Kansas turns the ball over. They throw it out. They hit the 3, except tonight they didn't hit the 3. And then they pushed it to overtime and win that game earlier in the year. That's exactly where my mind was going. Was like, this is what Houston does. They're impossible to kill. You cannot kill Houston. Meanwhile, Duke, as much as I love this Duke team, and like I've said, like those of you that have been following the show know that there is no bigger Duke Glazer this season than me. I don't want to say there's like a clutch problem towards the end of the games. I think it's less about like those isolated moments, and I'm sure the talking heads will have a field day with Cooper Flagg missing another game winner. It's less about like that one final possession when you're down 1 and 19 seconds left, and it's more about like you're up 10 with 10 minutes left. Can you just like keep running offense? Can you just keep playing? Can you keep doing the things that got you here, that led to you building this lead? And they've gotten a little comfortable with I don't know if you want to call it playing with your food or just trusting that like they'll make the plays down the stretch, and when assholes start to get tight, they'll lock back in and they'll figure it out and they'll find a way to win. And I think that's ultimately what burned them tonight. And I think that like I feel comfortable enough in saying that I think Duke's a better basketball team than Houston, but that's not how this tournament works. That's not the structure of the tournament. And Duke being a better team for 30 minutes isn't enough. You got to be the better team for 40 minutes, and they just stopped playing. And that's something they've done from time to time. It was something that I assumed would have been, like worked out of them by now. It would have been especially addressed when you're playing a team like Houston that's just not going to go away. But, yeah, Duke let them back in it. Houston just will not die, and it sets up an incredible national championship. Like, we'll talk about Auburn, Florida, obviously, in a second, but I'm blown away, man. This is all-time shit. I tend to be a prisoner of the moment a lot with college basketball because I just get so excited, especially when you see a great game. But I feel very, very confident that I can call this some all-time shit, and that will age just fine. Like, I don't think I'm going to look back on this in 15 years and be like, I can't believe that one time Houston was down 14 and came back to beat Duke. And Cooper Flagg had a shot to win it at the end, and Houston had a 65% free throw shooter, hit 2 big free throws, and Duke couldn't inbound the ball, and all these things. I can't believe I thought that was like a big deal. That wasn't a big deal. What an idiot I am. No, this was all time shit. This is for all the complaints about how this tournament hasn't been great, and I I agree with those complaints. Like we haven't had enough juice. We haven't had enough buzzer beaters and drama and upsets and all that sort of thing. And we just kept kicking the can down the road saying, just wait till the Sweet 16. It's setting up for an awesome Sweet 16. And the Sweet 16 wasn't as awesome as we wanted. We'll wait for the Elite 8 matchups. Wait for the Final Four matchups. Now we're here. We had 2 awesome games tonight. I've only talked about one of them so far. But even if Auburn, Florida was a 50-point blowout, I mean, the fact that Houston came back in that manner against that Duke team, which I was trying to hedge as much as I could coming into the tournament, coming into the Final Four. I'm very, very high on Duke. I thought they had the potential to be an all-time team. I think what they showed throughout the season was historic type stuff. I'm not saying they're the best team ever. I wasn't saying that they're, I wasn't ready to have those conversations yet because I knew that stuff like this could happen. I knew that, especially when you're in a Final Four with a bunch of 1 seeds. But even as I was going through my brain of like, how is Duke going to fuck this up, being up by 14 in the second half and against a team that can't get any offense going, really, Houston, and letting it all slip away. Not only letting it slip away in regulation and letting it slip away in a situation where Houston didn't even need there wasn't like a half-court buzzer beater or something to send it to overtime. This wasn't it was just methodical chip away, steal the win. Let's go. Let's get out of here and get ready for Monday. Even in I could see a world where Duke was going to lose, but it wasn't all that. But anyway, just to put a bow on all that, I felt like this Duke team had all-time potential, and that's what makes the way they lost and the manner in which they lost and all of that so shocking because it was theirs to lose, man. And it felt like by the time the Final Four got here, this is, seeing all 1 seeds, you can only compare it to the 08 Final Four because that's the only time it ever happened. But going into this tournament, I think I said this on PMT, I had a really strong vibe that this was going to be like a 2015 tournament. What I meant by that was 2015 was the last year I remember the sport being so top-heavy. This year was more top-heavy than any year since I've been alive. This was the most top-heavy year in college basketball ever. But 2015 is the last tournament I remember going into the tournament thinking this will be a 1 seed or a 2 seed that wins it all. It just has to be. There's just no world where all 4 1s and all 4 2s lose and like a 5 seed ends up winning this thing. It just can't happen. The 1s and the 2s are too strong. And the reason I bring that up is because I hadn't felt that strongly about a tournament since 2015, and then I felt that this year where I was like, it's definitely going to be a 1 or a 2, probably a 1. The 1s are just better than everybody. And I'm bringing up the parallel of 2015 to 2025 because as I was revisiting that on the radio show or the live show we were doing at the River North Ice House yesterday and today, my mind just kept going back to that 2015 parallel, and I was like, yeah, you know what's interesting about 2015? You could, if you're a Duke fan, you're like, that was the year we won the national championship, or you can make the parallel that was standing out to me, which is like, you went into that Final Four, and Michigan State was kind of the odd duck in that one that year. I don't know if I think they were a 7 seed. I think they beat Virginia that year in the second round, and then Michigan State went on to be a 7 seed in the 2015 Final Four. But otherwise, you had Wisconsin, you had Kentucky, you had Duke, and all 3 of them were very, very, very good, national title good and all that. But going into the Final Four, there was one team that was head and shoulders better than everyone else, and it was the undefeated Kentucky team. And what happened to them? They in a stunning surprise, they were upset by Wisconsin. And I just bring that up because that's what I feel about this Duke team. Obviously this Duke team wasn't undefeated, and that Kentucky team was. But you look back on that 2015 Kentucky team, and I think 10 years later, people still point to that team as like one of the best teams to not win the title. And I think Duke's schedule that they played this year probably won't warrant that moving forward. I think when you talk about the best teams that never win it, maybe they'll be knocked down a peg or two. But I'm mentioning all this just to give context to where my head was at coming into this. Was I did feel like Duke was a little bit better than everybody else, and I wanted to say I wasn't going to be stunned if they lost, but now we're here and they blew a 14-point lead. I'm absolutely stunned. All the credit goes to Houston. Just they won't die. They will not die, no matter what the scoreboard says. What a comeback! I don't know what else to say, TJ.
They were down 6 with 33 seconds left, and in that moment,
and they won by how much?
3. The Houston didn't score, or Duke didn't score in the last 33 seconds, and they didn't foul Duke had the ball up 6 and Houston didn't foul. And I was like, that's going to look really, really smart if this works out for them.
Great coaching.
The commentators were screaming, why don't they foul? Why aren't they fouling?
Yeah.
They just let them go and they missed.
And they didn't foul because, they saw what they saw coming, what actually happened. And, yeah, I mean, in the interest of fairness, like I'm going to complain about the Cooper flag over the back, which I didn't feel like that was a good call. Houston got fucked on some calls too, like the one where LJ Cryer was trying to cross up Knippel and Knippel just kicks it out of bounds. It wasn't as high leverage of a spot, but like there were plenty of times where the ball was like very clearly out on Duke and they gave it to Houston. I thought Tugler was going to be the buffoon of the night. I thought he was going to be just an absolute boob. Where he swipes he gets the technical foul, which, like, when's the last time you've ever seen that? A guy gets a technical foul, the guy's taking the ball out of bounds, and he just swipes it out of his hands, which, you love the aggressiveness, but that just felt like an all-time, like, man, you really fucked your team, whatever. That just slammed the door shut on whatever comeback might happen. That's what makes it even more insane. It was that Houston was not perfect down the stretch. Duke just stopped playing and thought they had the game won, and then they couldn't inbound the ball. And then Tyrese Proctor was like, "Give me the ball. I'll hit these free throws." And you're like, "Based on what, Tyrese? What makes you think you're gonna hit these free throws?" And I hate to pile on Tyrese Proctor, who, like, he didn't play well tonight, and he will get, obviously, if you're looking for scapegoats, you start there. Maybe you point at Cooper Flagg missing the last shot. I don't know how you can after you watched him tonight, though. He was unreal, Cooper Flagg, tonight. Unreal game from him. Maybe John Shire, maybe you need John Shire to call some timeouts and motherfuck his guys in the huddle as the lead's dwindling away. But Tyrese Proctor missing the front end of the 1-on-1. That wasn't the only reason they lost, but just a strange circumstance of a strange turn of events where it's just like, give me the ball. I don't know. It doesn't always work that way. You can't always get the ball into the guy's hands you want it in, although Houston found a way. That was crazy when Cooper Flagg misses and Houston gets the rebound. Duke just doesn't foul for like 7 seconds. They let Houston get the ball into LJ Cryer's hands. That was stupid, but you can't always control who ends up with the ball, who's going to get fouled. But I felt like I don't know, get Tyrese Proctor out of the game if he's a terrible free throw shooter. That was crazy. I don't know. I'm thinking back, like, Sion James kind of played like shit down the stretch, and he did get a concussion live on television in front of millions of people. I mean, is anyone else pointing that out? That Sion James drives to the bucket, hits his head on the floor. They take him out of the game. They put him back in, and I can't remember a good play he made since then. And I love watching him this year. He was very good for them, but, like, is there a world where he was just, like, concussed and probably should not have come back in the game? Maybe. Who's to say? But shout out Houston. Again, I say this lovingly. I say this with nothing but respect. I didn't think Houston played well tonight, and they just beat the best team in the country in a game where they were down by 14. So that is just unreal stuff from Kelvin Sampson. Unreal stuff from LJ Cryer. Unreal stuff from Jawan Roberts hitting the shots. Uzan was great. I mean, this is what Houston does. They just will not die. And what a game! What a game! I can't believe that happened. I'm stunned. I'm absolutely stunned. I need to do some business and take a deep breath so we can move on to the next. I'm going to talk about Venmo. Venmo makes it quick and easy to transfer money to your DraftKings account. Got money in your Venmo balance? You can use it to fund your DraftKings account. Age and eligibility restrictions do apply. But if you need Venmo for your tourney run, you bet. No matter which team takes the trophy, paying with Venmo and DraftKings is a win. Get in on the games with Venmo and DraftKings. Look for the Venmo button in the DraftKings app to fund your account today. Also want to talk about American Home Shield. What do your March Madness brackets and your home appliance systems have in common? They both tend to get busted. Now, as a benefit with select American Home Shield warranty plans, you can conveniently video chat with a live repair expert to help assess or fix an issue. Talk about taking home protection to the next level. And thanks to American Home Shield, we are able to video chat in Big Cat to get an expert assist as you pick your favorite teams in the 2025 tournament. Big Cat, what do you got for us?
John Wooden is the all-time coaching leader with 10 championships. Coach K of Duke is second with 5. Boo.
We're here to help prevent a busted bracket, just like American Home Shield is here to help with a busted home appliance or system. This is where our friends at American Home Shield come in, is where you have a system, you have an appliance at home that goes kaput. When you have an American Home Shield warranty, they will help fix or replace covered parts of home systems and appliances no matter their age. Plus, as a benefit with select plans, AHS offers a convenient video chat feature that lets you connect with live repair experts to help assess or even fix home a home issue in real time. Listeners can get 20% off any plan today. Visit ahs.com/Titus to sign up. Don't wait until something is busted. Get ahead of home repairs with AHS. Go to ahs.com/Titus for 20% off any plan today. See ahs.com/contracts for coverage details, including limit amounts, fees, limitations, and exclusions. Yeah, I think I've exhausted my brain on Houston Duke. I'm stunned. I don't know how else to say it. I maybe I shouldn't be. Maybe that's my fault for believing in Duke so much. This Duke team was on an unreal run. They were playing unreal basketball. The size, the length, the defense, the off, all of it. They were playing unreal, and they just let it slip away. And it's crazy. That's insane. That the Houston, the comeback. I'm a little lost for words as I'm sitting here thinking about it. But Cooper Flagg was incredible. I mean, the talking heads, I'm sure, are, like I said earlier, going to make a mountain out of the molehill of missing the last second shot, which I guess maybe it's something. It has been sort of a theme with him this year, in all their losses. Seemingly, there've been issues down the stretch, and every time Duke seemingly got put in these situations where a game is tied, they're down one, whatever, with a limited amount of time left. I think they went 0 for 4. I think they kind of went 0 for 4 this year. So, that is something. That is something that is, if you're trying to project this guy at the next level, and is he going to be an all-time generational Michael Jordan, LeBron James type player? That's going to matter. If his NBA career is full of missing game winners, I'm sure he's going to get killed for it. I don't think I'm ready to do that yet because he's a very young guy, and I think that'll work itself out in the future. But yeah, I mean, that was a problem throughout the year with Duke, and we saw it tonight that they kind of just stopped playing their offense, and then when it's time for let's get the one shot, let's win this game on this one shot. They kind of abandon the offense as well, and it just becomes ISO ball with Cooper Flagg, and he's very, very good, but he's not. I think that like mid-range turnaround jumper that he loves so much isn't quite as reliable as he thinks it is, and that's true not only in the last second shot situations. It's true throughout the game. As great as he is, he doesn't hit those quite as often as you would like him to for a guy who takes them so often. But anyway, having said all that, Cooper Flagg was named Wooden Award winner this year. National Player of the Year. He's going to win basically every National Player of the Year award. If he doesn't win them, it's going to go to Janai Broom, who we'll talk about here in a second. And that's almost certainly the last we'll see of Cooper Flagg in college basketball. And I thought he was incredible tonight. And again, we could talk about the last shot a bunch. You can talk about, like, if you're so good, why did you let your team choke it away? All of these are fair things to a certain extent. But I thought, like, as like a final display of what he can do on a basketball court, I thought for most of this game it was as good as it gets, and he was doing everything, and he was very, very fun to watch. But yeah, all-time collapse, man. It's crazy. It's crazy. And what's crazy is, like, as a guy who, like, loved this Duke team, and although to be fair, the part of me that's, like, been cheering for Duke, I have said I just wanted them to get to the Final Four, and because I wanted it for, like, I wanted, again, I don't know how many times I can say it, I didn't see this coming, that they would blow a 14-point lead, but I do think if this would have happened in the second round, it doesn't hit the same. It's when they're in the Final Four and the biggest stage of all. This is all I wanted. And now that they've lost, I'm not really that hurt about it. But, I do think as a basketball fan and a basketball purist, they were so fucking fun to watch this year. And this will haunt the individual players. This will haunt Duke fans. This will haunt John Shire for the rest of their lives because, not only was, the game on Monday there for the taking, and they were the favorite coming into this, but, like, you had this game won. People are going to throw out the word legacy, I think, when it comes to looking at this Duke team. Yeah. People, I think, we're starting to be like the new guard, John Shire, is going to cement his legacy, take over for Coach K. Coach K was there. It seemed like it was setting up for, like, this to be the changing of the guard and, like, the new Duke regime to take over, the non-hateable, America's team Duke. How does this affect that
storyline narrative.
Well, he is picking up he is taking the torch from K, because the last time we saw Coach K, he did the exact same thing. He choked in the Final Four to a lesser team. But yeah, no, I agree. I'm with you, TJ. This felt like the coronation, and 3 years ago that was supposed to be Coach K's send-off, and he was going to win a national championship. The context completely different, though. That Duke team wasn't nearly as good as this one. So yeah, Duke has a great recruiting class coming in next year. They're always going to have that. They're always going to have money for NIL. They're always going to be, the big player in college basketball. But you're absolutely right. This was supposed to be the team for Shire, and this felt like a team that like they were going to do a 30 for 30 on like way too soon. Like they were going to do it in like 7 years. Like they weren't even going to wait like 20 years. They were just going to do it in 7 years and talk about how this was like the start of like the Shire era and how Shire is dominating college basketball. I don't think Shire, I don't think this doesn't ruin Shire as a coach for me. I don't think it's fair to be like Shire is a choke artist. I think we've seen him in 3 tournaments, and obviously this was his first Final Four. And last year they lose in the Elite Eight to NC State. The year before they get punked by Tennessee. And in all 3 games Duke did have the talent advantage, but that's kind of the burden you have when you're a Duke coach, or what John Calipari dealt with as the Kentucky coach, where every single game you lose in the NCAA tournament is going to feel like a choke job because you have so much talent. Now, this one actually was a choke job. This was a legitimate choke job. But this felt like the first 2 years of Shire. They don't go as far in the tournament as you expect, especially last year. It breaks wide open. All you got to do is beat an NC State team that's right in front of you to make the Final Four. So now he's in the Final Four. He's the favorite. He's got the best player in the country. He's got at least 5 NBA players, maybe up to 8 NBA players on the roster. It's all there for the taking, and next year's recruiting class is great. You win this national championship. The Boozer twins come in, and you just get the ball rolling, and all of a sudden we're just in – Danny Hurley's out, John Shire's in, and it's his sport, and he's running the sport and all that sort of thing. And all that goes away now. All that goes away in a span of 30 seconds. They were up 6 with 33 seconds left. Is that what you said, TJ? It was 33 seconds?
They were up, 67-61 with 33 seconds left.
Absolutely insane. I'm going to do my best to pivot to the other game, because I thought the other game was incredible and was a better game up until the Houston Miracle. That was the game I was going to lead off with, was Auburn, Florida, which was just I felt like it was an incredible, all-time might be overstating it, but it was a really, really, really good Final Four game. I'm going to do my best to get off Duke Houston, but I'm probably just going to keep going back and just every so often just be like, I can't believe what I just fucking watched.
Yeah. Houston outscored them 11-1 in the last minute 26.
11? They went on an 11-1 run.
Duke was up 66-59 with 1:26 to play.
That is, I don't know how. sorry, Florida Auburn. I don't know how. I don't know how if you're a Duke fan. I don't know how you go on living. I don't know how the last 2 times Duke has been in the Final Four. You leave New Orleans in 2022 saying to yourself, this can't possibly ever get any worse. That we lose to our rival in the Final Four, and our iconic coach, who is basically our entire program, in his very last game, you lose to your rival after you had just lost to your rival in the last game in Cameron Indoor Stadium. That's all the context for that, as everybody remembers. And you're saying to yourself, how could this possibly get worse? If you're a Duke fan, like, these numbers are you're gonna have nightmares about this the rest of your life. You're just gonna be sitting there, suddenly just wake up in a cold sweat at 3 a.m. like 8 years from now and just be like, it was 11-1 the final minute and a half. That's crazy. How do you let that happen? With 9 NBA players on the team. Every time I talk about this Duke team, the number's just going to go up. You had 13 NBA players on this team. Florida Auburn. So I'm going to do my best to collect my thoughts, which, again, I had them collected, and then I did a brain dump and lost it all because I was just in awe of what Houston Duke was. I thought Auburn, low-key, kind of dominated the first half. They were up by 6. Was it 8? I think it was 8 maybe. But they were so good defensively, and that's what stood out to me in this game from the start was Auburn. Florida's offense, very good. Walter Clayton was I mean, we're going to talk about him in a second. What a fucking night this guy had. 34 points was hitting everything. Clutch shot after clutch shot. Wasn't just threes, like getting to the bucket and ones. He was doing it all. He was incredible. But I thought in the first half, Auburn, and I say low-key dominated because from what my eyes were telling me, like they were locked in at a level that I've been waiting to see from Auburn for well over a month now. Auburn was the number 1 overall seed in this tournament, less because of how good they were entering the tournament and more because of their resume throughout the year and how they played the toughest schedule in the country. They beat basically everybody, and they looked just absolutely dominant at times. And for the last month or so, we just haven't seen that from Auburn. Yeah, of course, they've won 4 NCAA tournament games to get to the Final Four, and they still are a team that could win the national championship. But I had yet to see Auburn in the tournament or even in the SEC tournament play at a level where it felt like it was the Auburn that we saw in November and December and January. So in the first half of this game, I felt like I saw it. I felt like Florida's offense they got those Princeton elements of the back cuts and the big guys catching it at the top of the key, and then he's doing the dribble-ats, and then the guards are going to back cut and or hand it off, whatever. If you can find a way to deny passing lanes but at the same time not get back cut against Florida, you can have a lot of success guarding them, and it's easier said than done. And it's very easy to just draw up a defense and just say simply stay in front of your man, but I felt like Auburn did a great job, and they were locked in defensively, again, at a level that I just hadn't seen in a whole month. On that end of the floor, I thought, Florida had some stuff to address at halftime, which they obviously did, and we'll get to the second half here in a second. But then on the other end, Florida, I thought it was interesting. The very first possession of this game, Auburn gets the ball. They throw it into Janai. They throw the ball to Janai Broome, who I almost said he'd throw it in, but they didn't. Like Janai Broome was catching the ball 15 feet out from the basket, and then he's backing his way down. Janai Broome took, I think I counted, he took 49 dribbles in the opening possession. 49. And no Florida player took one step towards no help side defender on Florida took one step towards helping. There wasn't a thought of helping. This was obviously something that was part of Florida's strategy. Florida went into this game saying we are not going to double Janai Broome. We're going to trust Chinyelu and Hang locked in and all these other big dudes. We Condon if he gets on him, whatever. Like all these big dudes we have, we're going to trust them in one-on-one situations against Broome. And we are going to stay attached to Auburn shooters because that's really what makes Auburn go is when their shooters are hitting threes. That's when Auburn becomes a problem. And we're going to stay attached. And I thought in the first half, Janai Broome was great. I thought Janai Broome in the first half was like Auburn understood what was going on. I thought he was playing pretty well. He was taking advantage of his one-on-one matchups. And as much as Janai Broome doesn't play the most aesthetically pleasing basketball, he was effective. And it felt like I was sort of watching like the Purdue-UConn national championship game where that was UConn's strategy against Purdue, and they let Edey just do whatever he wanted because they were just like, as long as Edey, we trust that Klingon can guard Edey well enough, which, Edey got the better of him that night, but let Edey get his and just stop the other guys from hitting threes. We'll be fine and we'll win this game. It felt like that was the similar approach, except the difference was on the other end of the floor, whereas Purdue couldn't guard UConn in the national championship game last year, Auburn was doing a great job guarding Florida. And I felt like Florida just didn't have the juice to start this game. And at halftime, it felt like Auburn, honest to God, my thought at halftime was like Auburn might blow this thing wide open if Florida decides at halftime they want to start doubling Janai Broome, and shooters start getting clean looks, and Auburn can keep their defensive intensity. Maybe they blow it wide open. Who the hell knows? The exact opposite happened, and here's some boots on the ground journalism for you. I'm walking in the tunnels of the Alamo Dome at halftime to go get a diet Coke or something in the tunnel or whatever. And I walk past the locker rooms. All the locker rooms are just right there next to each other, and my seat, to get to the media room, it takes me past all the locker rooms. I walked by the Florida locker room, and I wasn't even trying to eavesdrop. I wasn't trying to get a scoop. I was simply just a man who had a need for a refreshing beverage in that moment, and that was it. And I walked by the Florida locker room, and Todd Golden was motherfucking those guys at halftime. He was motherfucking. The yelling that was coming from the Florida locker room was crazy. Which, if Kelvin Sampson was doing it, I don't think I would have been so surprised. I didn't know Todd Golden had that in him. I'll be honest with you. I couldn't really make out what he was saying. I just heard screaming from the Florida locker room. And I felt like it was appropriate because they just didn't. They were getting outplayed by Auburn the first 20 minutes. Second half, Florida comes out red hot. They erased the deficit almost immediately, and I'm thinking to myself, he motherfucked him. That's what a good motherfucking will do at halftime. But yeah, the second half, obviously it was a completely different game, and Broome was like, he just turned into a liability. I mean, you all saw it. You were watching the game. Like Janai Broome, I don't know if he was banged up, if that's the excuse we want to go with. I will say again, boots on the ground journalism. I think maybe if you're watching on TV, you might assume that Janai Broome started limping a little harder when things started to go poorly, and he's turning the ball over like crazy. I don't know how many points he had in the second half here. They give me a nice little. They give me a packet here. Look at this. This is the Final Four packet they give you when you're a media guy, when you're a big swinging dick like me on press row. Yeah. So at halftime, Janai Broome had 12 points, and he finished with 15. He had 3 points in the second half, and I think he didn't score the final 15 minutes. And you might say he started limping more heavily once he realized, one, he was sucking down the stretch, and two, like Auburn was not going to win the game. I will say, after the game was over, I went back by the locker rooms as well. He was limping pretty badly in the back parts of the locker room, which the critics might be like, well, he knew eyeballs were still on him or whatever. But I'm pointing that out just to say this wasn't just a on television thing. I think whatever was bothering him, his knee the man's got 1,000 injuries. He was walking very strangely after the game, but I digress. The point is, Janai Broome was a liability. He was a liability in the second half for Auburn. I felt like him being on the floor hurt them when he can't shoot free throws. He couldn't really move that well. Florida was guarding him easily one-on-one, so like there was no need to double. In fact, Florida just stuck with that the entire second half, and I thought there might be a chance. Like I said earlier, I thought there might be a world where Florida would come out in the second half, and one of their adjustments would be, let's throw a double team at Janai Broome in these one-on-one situations. And they didn't do that. And there was really only one moment that stood out to me. There was, with like 4 minutes left, I think it was Denver Jones hit the three, but I think it was Baker Mazzara. They did a baseline out of bounds, and they run those flex actions off the baseline out of bounds, and was it Baker Mazzara or was it Chaney Johnson? Someone catches on the elbow, and they got like a face-up one-on-one. That's what the play is designed for, out of bounds. And he goes to drive, and he takes two dribbles, and Will Richards guarding he's guarding either Baker Mazzara or Denver Jones. And Will Richards comes collapsing and comes to help because he's just getting aggressive. And, that's what Florida will do from time to time, that when they get rolling a little bit, Florida starts – gambling a little more on defense. They start taking dumber shots on offense, but they almost always seem to go in. So Will Richards smelling blood in the water, and he comes down and collapses on I think it was actually I wrote a note down. Let me make sure I get this right. This is important. If I'm going to do journalism, TJ, I got to get it right. I can't just guess. This is important. If I'm going to point out specific plays.
Make your credential worthwhile.
I got to make my credential worthwhile. I wrote it down somewhere. Fucking A, man. Fucking A. Here it was. I got the play. I'm watching it. I took a video of Baker Mazzara comes up, and then it's Chaney Johnson. Will Richard collapses, kicks it out to Baker Mazzara. He swings it to Denver Jones. Denver Jones, it's a wide open three. I think at that point it was a 4-point game. It cut it to 1. There was like 4 minutes left. And the reason that stood out to me is because that was the first moment I remember Florida. Now, it wasn't Janai Broome. It wasn't a post-up situation, but that was the first moment I remember Florida like being undisciplined with guarding the shooters and like collapsing down. But yeah, I thought Florida just stuck to their game plan and it worked. And Florida in the first half, like I said, like defensively, I thought Florida was terrible. I thought they didn't have any juice. I thought they were getting beat on very simple actions. Like just simple like ball screens, and then like Dylan Cardwell roll to the bucket and they just throw it to wide open Dylan Cardwell and he dunk it, and you're just like, you can't be serious about trying to win a national championship, Florida, if you're going to play this sort of defense in the Final Four. And then they ratcheted it up in the second half, and Walter Clayton is fucking unreal. What a performance from this guy. Just when you think like you've seen him at his best, he just finds another level to go to. And 34 points tonight, an efficient 34 points. There was really only one shot there was one shot I remember that I said, Walter, that was probably a bit much. It was early in the second half, they came back. They might have taken the lead. Might have taken like a 1-point lead. And then Walter Clayton is like on a heat check, and he catches the ball in the wing, and he gets ready to shoot, and he's like, I can't get the shot off. And he takes one dribble. He's like, yeah, fuck it, I'll try it anyway. And he throws it up, and it gets blocked. And that was really the only moment where I was like, all right, Walter, let's calm it down. Otherwise, he had 34 points, and he did it so efficiently and so like professionally and just clinically how he goes about this, just hitting tough shot after tough shot, getting to the bucket, getting the and one late. I don't know, man. They're a very, very fun team to watch. I imagine they'll be favored against Houston, although what is the line? I would say Florida 1.5.
Florida 1.
Florida 1? Yeah.
It's moving now quickly.
Yeah, I mean, this is crazy because now you're setting up a situation where Florida I'll say it again. Like Florida in the first half, they didn't play well. Florida throughout this tournament has had times where they've dug themselves holes and then found their way out of it. Houston, meanwhile, is a team that won't die. I think it's fascinating because if you're someone who loves Houston or you're someone who loves Florida, you're pointing at your team and you're saying, I don't know how anybody can doubt us because we can be down 15 and I still think we're going to find a way to win. That's a compelling. Like, what happens when two teams play each other and neither team is capable of dying? What happens when that? We're going to find out on Monday night. But yeah, Walter Clayton was incredible. Elijah Martin is unreal. The dunk he had was fucking nasty, and I saw a picture, which it's bad podcasting, but I'm gonna try to pull it. This is my problem. I get something stuck in my head, TJ. There's no way I'm gonna find this. The picture, fuck it, whatever. You guys can go find it on your own. Somewhere, March Madness account or something posted like one angle of the Elijah Martin dunk, and like Todd Pettiford's like body is just like flying in the air behind them. An incredible dunk. Thomas Haug was awesome in this game. I thought he's like really stepped up for Florida and been great in this tournament for them. I don't know what his draft stock's at, but I'm taking a look at that guy if I'm an NBA GM. He's been incredible as of late. But yeah, Florida's like, I think the more fun team to watch. It's interesting. I'm curious the next 48 hours to see how people break down this game. I guess you guys watching are probably curious as well, and that's why you're turning to me. I think the ball knowers are going to love Houston. It's an interesting mix of the two teams because I think I don't mean the ball knowers. I think the people who fancy themselves basketball people love watching this Houston team. They love the grit. They love the culture. They love the fucking toughness, the physicality. They love that, the Houston offense, I think, like tonight wasn't the best showing for them as a unit. Like LJ Cryer was incredible individually, like I said, and Emmanuel Sharp was pretty good as well. But, I don't think you're submitting the Houston offense from tonight into like some sort of coaching clinic on what offense should look like. But having said all that, like Houston has a ton of capable guys offensively, and Jawan Roberts is like there. I don't know how many times he did it tonight, but there was at least once where he caught the ball and just went one-on-one with Malawach and scored on him, and that's like a 6'8" guy going up against a 7'2" shot blocker, and it's like that's fucking crazy that you guys have this weapon as well. The Houston offense isn't. The point is, like, it wasn't as a well-oiled machine tonight, but they have so many weapons, and I think Houston is probably the team that the people that like love basketball and think of them as like some sort of like basketball intellectual. I think they might favor Houston more because they're more fundamentally sound. They do the little things way better than Florida does. They're better coached than Florida is, and all of that stuff stands out when you watch them. Meanwhile, on the other end, Florida. Again, I don't think there's a right or a wrong answer for which team to back or to believe in for Monday night. But Florida is like the team that I think we'll call them casuals. I think the college basketball casuals have latched on to Florida, and for good reason. When you're led by a guy like Walter Clayton, who makes every fucking insane shot that he throws up. You got Elijah Martin dunking on everybody. Will Richard is a bucket, and Haug is awesome, and he gets hot, and you got this like 6'9" dude off the bench that's hitting threes and making one-on-one plays. But Florida is a little more up and down, and they have the Walter Clayton will just make dumb passes and turn the ball over in dumb ways at times, and they're not disciplined defensively at times, and they can be sort of easier to guard than they should be for a team that's as good as they are. And it's more of a roller coaster. And Florida's, and I know Houston was down 14, and they had to claw their way back tonight. And I know Houston had a close one against Purdue. And but the context that I see with these two teams is that Houston is more of a like a slow burn and like a gradual climb to the finish line, whereas Florida is just like a roller coaster, man. And I think Florida is probably sexier to a lot of people. They're certainly way flashier than Houston is, but Houston, I think I gotta lean Houston after what I saw tonight. I think I gotta maybe lean Houston, but I don't know how you can go against Walter Clayton and how good he's been. I don't know. I don't know. I need more time to think about it. So let me talk about game time, and we'll get back to that in a second. The best part of college basketball is here. We know you're as excited as we are to watch big upsets throughout the tournament. While we're streaming in the cave, they're streaming in the cave. You can get out and see the action in person with Game Time, the official ticketing partner of Barstool Sports. Game Time makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the app actually go down the closer it gets to showtime. Plus, the Game Time Picks feature makes it even easier to find the great deals on the seats you want. You can even find last-minute tickets for the tournament for up to 60% off quickly and easily. Just pull up your chosen event and turn on the GT Picks setting at the top of the screen, or browse the best local Game Time Picks deals near you on your Game Time app homepage. Monday night, this is the place to be, San Antonio. If you're someone that's been on the fence, if you're a Florida fan, you're a Houston fan, even if you're a fan of basketball and you're like, I'm waiting to see. I want this tournament to get good before I decide if I want to go to the national championship. Well, it's good, and Monday is going to be incredible. It has to be. There's no world in where Monday, like I said, there's two teams that just cannot die for the national championship. Two coaches trying to win their first national championship. If you are within flying distance of San Antonio, get your ass down here and get a ticket by using Game Time. What are you waiting for? Go get your tickets to the national championship. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Titus for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code Titus, T-I-T-U-S, for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. What time is it? Game time. I want to take a deep breath. I feel like I have just been shot out of a cannon for an hour, dude.
And it didn't feel like that maybe an hour and a half ago. It didn't feel like there was going to be back-to-back.
I love this shit so much, man. I do. I'm gonna get corny for a second. You know what? I'm gonna talk about experience. Because I don't know how long I might just be shot out of a cannon again, and I got to do all the business so I could just ramble some more. Madison margin is good. Madison credit is bad. To take control of your credit and finances, make sure you pick the Experian app. Experian could be your financial Cinderella with tons of free tools at your fingertips to help you take control of your financial life. The amount of free tools you get with Experian could fill a bracket with things like your free FICO score, free credit monitoring with alerts to keep you in the know on changes to your profile, free access to a marketplace of credit card, loan, and auto insurance options all matched to you. You could freeze your credit file for free, helping protect you against identity theft. Make sure you're ready for your one shiny moment with Experian. Go to the App Store and download the free Experian app now. Results will vary. See App Store for details. Go to the App Store and download the free Experian app now. I need a drink of water. Give me 5 seconds. Time out.
Breathe.
Time out. Swig of water. All right. Here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to get corny for like 2 minutes. I fucking love this shit, man. I being able to be in the arena, and yeah, I wasn't there for the Houston comeback. I had to come back for the very show you're watching right now. But being in the arena with 4 fan bases that showed out and packed the stadium. I mean, it was the top corners of every single. I memean, of course, there were probably some empty seats. I didn't see any empty seats. It was crazy. It was absolutely packed. It was as loud as I've ever heard a Final Four. Just an incredible scene over at the Alamo Dome. And you know, the thing about getting a press pass for that is like I almost don't want to say it, but I'm just like trying to paint a picture here. The seats are shitty. They're shitty seats. If you've been to a Final Four, there are a handful of good seats. Like, you know, being in the building is what it's all about. And I mentioned that I had shitty seats. I don't expect good seats. Every time I sign up to go there, I know where I'm going to be sitting. I'm going to be sitting behind the student section. I was by the Turner desk that they had set up, and I was watching Chuck like losing his mind towards the end of the Auburn game and all that. It's not a great seat. In the end, I basically end up just watching the game on the screen, but being in the stadium is something that like is just to be able to do it once is bucket list shit for me. And the fact that I get to do this like every single year it really is like I can't believe I'm this fucking lucky. And nights like tonight where I probably would have been cool to have been in the building as Duke was squandering that lead and Houston was coming back. I can't imagine what that scene was like, especially because I was the seat I had was right behind the Houston student section, and the Houston crowd was over to my right. But to be in the building on a night like tonight is something I don't take for granted, and I just wanted to say that because I get emotional is not the right word, because I think when people hear emotional, they think you're about to cry. I'm not about to cry, but my mind goes back to like being a child and growing up in Indianapolis, and like the Final Four being in Indianapolis all the time, and my dad would take me downtown, and you like walk around, and I'm like, Dad, could we go to the games? Dad, do you think we can maybe go to the games? And he'd just be like, you dumb bitch, son. We don't have money for that. And I'm like, that's all right, Dad. Just to be here the day before is pretty cool, you know? So yeah, it's something I don't take for granted. And I was there tonight by myself. Didn't have Jake Marsh with me. R.I.P. Jake. Like he's been with me the last couple years. So I'm just at the game by myself. I'm sitting by myself. I'm not really talking to anybody, and I'm just saying out loud, this is what it's all about, man. I'm just like saying that shit to myself. I'm just like to nobody in particular. I'm just like, that's awesome. Like this shit, it doesn't get better than this shit right here, man. This is what it's all about. So anyway, the crowd, the boots on the ground report from San Antonio. The crowds are incredible. I thought not a slight to Auburn and Houston fans. I thought Florida and Duke showed out more than anyone else. I think like they were the loudest. They had the most fans. But Houston and Auburn both had an incredible amount of fans. I love the Final Fours here. I do. I don't know what the national view is on San Antonio as a city, but I'm fine with them hosting the Final Four here every handful of years. It's incredible. You can walk everywhere. The food's great. People are really nice. The Alamo Dome is a little shitty, but like, whatever, it works. And I think it's not that big of a deal. I think they have it figured out. You can at least walk over to it, and it's not. Who the hell cares? I guess that's kind of been a complaint of mine. Like I remember 2018, I came to the Final Four, and I was like, I don't know, the Alamo Dome's kind of shitty, and then I was worried about that going. And then I was there tonight, and I was like, who gives a shit? It's shitty. Like who cares at the bathroom? Like, there's pubes on the urinal. Like, who cares?
But who
cares, dude?
The positive trade-off is you can walk back to your hotel.
You can walk back to the hotel, dude. Who cares?
The last 2 years has been a fucking nightmare.
That is true. The last two have been a nightmare. But yeah, I love San Antonio. I think the four schools showed out. I think the scene. I don't want to get carried away. Like that would probably be prisoner moment if I said that this was the loudest I've ever heard of Final Four. Which maybe to be completely honest, maybe I did say that at some point during the show. Or to say that these were the best fans or anything, because I don't know, man. Like the 2022 Final Four was bonkers. I mean, you have Duke, Carolina, and Kansas, Villanova. Like that was also insane. 2015, I was in the building for that one too, with the Duke and Kentucky and Michigan State and Wisconsin, obviously. That was crazy too. But this was as good as I've seen, and it was awesome. There are legends everywhere. At one point, I'm just sitting there and within 50 yards of me in any direction is Charles Barkley. There's Magic Johnson. There's Akeem Olajuwon, and it's just that's what the Final Four is, man. It's crazy, and it's I've gotten older, and I like to think that I've carved out a nice career for myself, and at some point I do fear that like I'll get old enough, or I'll do this enough that I'll get like jaded by like this is the 15th Final Four that I've been to in a row or whatever else. And I'm happy to report I'm not there yet, and I'm still just like a child when I go to this thing, and I'm just looking around. And I'm like, that's fucking Charles Barkley. Oh my god, that's Hakeem was just sitting right over there. That's crazy. So yeah. It was an awesome night. 2 great games. The Final Four delivered in a way we wanted it to, and now we have to worry about our boys Connor and Cody. TJ, what do we do about that?
My
very serious issue facing them right now.
Main question previewing the final was, do you think Connor likes his waffles with or without syrup? Because he's in trouble. And Cody's in a different batch of trouble.
If you're just tuning in for the first time, we have a two-pronged situation. We have a mostly sports situation. We have a mark-titus-show situation. The mostly sports situation is that Connor Griffin, a.k.a. Scoof, the couch boy himself, his 40 waffle team is the Florida Gators. If Florida wins the national championship on Monday, they are 40 minutes away from doing it. Connor Griffin has to eat 40 waffles in one sitting, which is a lot of waffles. I think my record is probably 5. Probably. I feel like 5. I think, honestly, if you're asking me right now how many waffles if I was really hungry, could I eat in one sitting? I would say probably 5. And Connor's going to have to eat 40. So we did the week 6 poll came out. We looked at the top 12. Every champion. Oh shit! I just thought about this. Houston isn't in it.
Yeah. So Florida is.
Okay, so this is important.
It's history versus waffles.
Okay, so every national champion in the week 6 AP poll. Don't ask me why this matters. It's just an oddity that's existed in college basketball. Every national champion has been in the top 12 when the week 6 AP poll comes out. Yeah. I don't. It doesn't make any sense. It's just the way it's worked out. So on Mostly Sports, when the Week 6 poll came out, when was that? Like December, and late November, probably early
9th?
December. Yeah.
9th.
So that when that poll came out on Mostly Sports, all of us in the room picked a team that we thought would not win the national championship from that list of 12. So you understand the premise here. TJ, for example, picked
Alabama.
He picked Alabama. I picked Purdue, who at the time was a top 12 team. They didn't win. We don't have to eat waffles. Connor Griffin picked Florida, who, what were they ranked at the time?
9th.
They were 9th. They were undefeated, probably, and somehow
Yes.
ranked 9th because their schedule wasn't that tough at that point. Connor Griffin picked Florida, and long story short, he's now 40 minutes away from having to eat 40 waffles. Why is it 40 waffles? I don't know. Go watch Mostly Sports. Maybe we'll talk. I don't know. Go find the clip.
Knows?
I honestly don't remember. Meanwhile, Tate and I on this show, the Mark Titus Show, all season we've been crossing teams off that we believe could not win the national championship. And the stipulation was if we cross a team off that does go on to win the national championship, even though we already crossed them off, the punishment for us is we will go to the campus and we will be tarred and feathered, basically. I don't know why I said that. Tate asked me, like, what do you want the punishment to be? And I just pictured, like, a town, like, being shamed in a town square. So I was like, I don't know, let's just get tarred and feathered. So that's what we decided. But then I threw in one little wrinkle because I was worried about this tarred and feathered list, like, not having a payoff, which was to say that, like, by the time the tournament came around, the bracket came out, like, we looked at the teams that we thought could win it, and there was, like, 30 teams still on the list. And I was like, that's not really that interesting. So I made all of us pick one top 4 seed. I picked Wisconsin. I think Tate picked Maryland. They obviously aren't going to win it. And then we turned to Cody, and we were like, Cody, you have to pick a team. If they win it, this is just an individual one, though. Like, the whole group isn't going to go. This is just your team. If they win the national championship, you're going to get tarred and feathered. Pick a top 4 seed. Our guy Cody did his whole, like, if you're going to be a scared puppy pissing, be a big dog on the port, whatever his little thing was, he said. And then he said Florida. And I don't know why he did it. When he did it, we all lost our minds because at this point, Florida had just won the SEC tournament. Florida was a 1 seed in the tournament. Florida was, at least the waffle thing, I'll give Connor, in defense of Connor, he picked the number 9 team in the country at the time. And we didn't think Florida was going to be this good. Cody knew Florida was this good, and he still picked him. Why did he do that? And tarred and feathered is way worse, isn't it, than eating waffles? I don't know.
And Cody's such a nervous Nelly, like, he's going to be, like, very awkward about it.
So the only way that doesn't happen, both of these things don't happen, is if Houston makes history by being the first team to not be – because Houston was not ranked in the top 12, right? You have the –
15th.
They were ranked 15th in that Week 6 poll?
Yeah, 5-3.
So there you go. Other history Monday night. I'm pretty sure, and those of you watching, you probably have your TV on or you're scrolling Twitter, so – you could probably, I don't know, chat, maybe fact check this because I could be wrong. But this is just off the dome. I'm pretty sure if Todd Golden wins, he's going to be the youngest coach to ever win a national championship. And if Kelvin Sampson wins, he's going to be the oldest coach to ever win a national championship. So we're going to see history one way or the other. And again, that's your pretty sure stat of the day, which is what the Mark Titus Show excels at, is the pretty sure stat. Yeah, man, I'm excited. I think, as I do a Monday preview, I'm leaning Houston just because what I was saying earlier was I think that Houston, as a guy that's watched both of these teams all year, Houston has been the more steady force. Houston has been, just like Houston is so good at, and you saw it tonight, even though Duke was outplaying them for most of the game, and then Houston wins it in the end. Houston is so good at making every team play a Houston basketball game. Every game they play is going to be on Houston's terms. Even as Duke built a 14-point lead tonight, I still felt like the game was being played on Houston's terms, which is to say it was a defensive slugfest. That wasn't, the first game, the Florida-Auburn game, which they were shot out of a cannon to start that thing. The pace was incredible, a lot of shot making going on, and then Houston-Duke was not. And, like, both teams couldn't hit shit, and it felt like it was going to be ugly, and it kind of was. And that's not an accident. That's by design. That's how Houston wants to win these games. Houston is really, really good at that. In fact, they almost always, if they don't win the game, they at least win that part where they're going to make the only way you can beat them is if you can beat them at their own game, so to speak. And so from watching both of these teams all year, I think Florida does have the better individual talent in terms of like Walter Clayton. Like, this is they have Walter Clayton, but I think like Florida, the talent gap that exists between Florida and Houston, if there is one at all, is not nearly as close as the talent gap between Duke and Houston. One, and two, I think Florida, like I said, has been more up and down for me this year, and not only just like throughout the season, but even in just like taking tonight as an example. I just feel like Florida for the first 20 minutes just didn't have it, and then they turn it on and they do have it. And when they have it, they look unbeatable. When they don't have it, they look like an average team. So I guess, like, for me as a guy that's watched both of these teams all season, I gravitate more towards the team that, like, I know what I'm getting, and I know when the ball tips off on Monday night, I know Houston's going to be a bunch of nasty sons of bitches. I know they're going to guard Florida really well. Florida will hit shots because, the individual moments of brilliance from Florida will come. But I think Houston's gonna just be nasty defensively. It'll be probably a low-scoring game because that's just what Houston does. And I think for that reason, I'm leaning towards Houston winning this thing. And I think Kelvin Sampson, like, no disrespect to Todd Golden as a basketball mind, at least. We can disrespect other things about him, but the basketball mind of Todd Golden he's a great coach. He knows the game well, and he's got he's embraced analytics, and he does a lot of interesting shit. And I like watching their offense. Very, very hard to guard if it's rolling, but I think it's actually like, I think Florida's offense, again, it's easier said than done. I think it's like actually sort of easy to scout. Like, it's if Houston, and I expect them to see what I see, like, if you can do what Auburn did in the first half, which is make sure you don't get back cut, like, play the passing lanes, but also make sure you don't get back cut. You can guard Florida pretty well, or well enough. And I think Houston's gonna muck it up, and I just have to believe after what I just watched with Houston Duke that Houston will find a way to win the game. But also Walter Clayton, man, Walter Clayton hits insane shots. He's got a never say die attitude. Either way, we're setting up for an all-timer. We're either Houston wins their first national championship for a program that, I'm watching this game, and Hakeem Olajuwon's right over there, and Faisal Majama couldn't get the job done, and they got upset in the national championship, and to NC State in '83 and in '84, same story, and they don't win it again. And this is a program that was there in the '80s twice. Didn't win it all, has never won it all. They're in a rebirth with Kelvin Sampson, who's just, I don't know if he's the best coach in the country, but I don't know how you could say anyone else is better than him after tonight. But I do know this to be true. He's whoever you believe is the best coach in the country, Kelvin Sampson is probably their answer if you ask them who the best coach in the country is, if that makes sense. They say like there are comedians who are the comedian's comedian or whatever. Kelvin Sampson is the basketball coach's basketball coach. So, he gets his first title, and he's had an up-and-down career, and the Indiana stint, and he gets fired from Indiana for the recruiting violations, and he gets lost in the wilderness of the NBA, and he's an assistant coach in the NBA, and then he gets back into college basketball, and he takes a Houston program that was deader than dead and makes it what it is. That would be an incredible story. And Todd Golden getting Florida, that wouldn't be an incredible story at all. Fuck Florida, dude. They cheated in 07. They cheated in 07 and took a national championship from me. No, Todd Golden being the youngest coach to win a national championship is crazy, and that's the SEC dominated college basketball all season, and Florida. I don't know how you can argue. Auburn won the conference in the regular season. Auburn was the number 1 overall seed, but I think Florida beating them twice. Florida winning the SEC tournament. It's pretty obvious Florida's the best team in the conference. So Florida finishing the job, getting a big win for the SEC, and taking home the national championship in a year where. It was the resurgence for the SEC, or the SEC's like a rival to college basketball in a way that they've never really cared that much as a conference. And now, Florida winning it would mean a lot to just the conference and the school, obviously. But to have the youngest coach to ever win a national championship win it, that would be quite a story. And Walter Clayton would complete. I mean, I'll put it this way: Florida has no shot of winning this game unless Walter Clayton is good. Like, he doesn't have to have 34 points, but, like, if Walter Clayton shits the bed, Florida's just not going to win. So if Florida wins the national championship, this Walter Clayton run will be an all-time run. This will be – I think it's – again, I don't want to do this now because there's still 40 minutes to play, and I need some time to take a deep breath and compare it to Kimba and all these – and Carmelo and all these other historic runs, the national individual carrying a team to a national championship type runs. But yeah, if Walter Clayton and Florida can finish this job, I mean, this is all time shit, man. And that goes up there with those are the two that come to mind, Carmelo and Kimba, and there are certainly others. But one of those is going to happen. Either it's the coronation of Kelvin Sampson, or it's like, holy fucking shit, a guy who's younger than 40 just won a national championship at Florida in his, third year? Is this Todd Golden's third year, I think? Is it his third? It's got to be his third year. Let me look that up. I got everything else right tonight, TJ. I got everything else right. I got to get this right. We got to end on a high note. Oh, my God, I can't believe.
2022?
This is his third year. Yeah, I don't know why I doubt myself. Yeah, you have a guy in his third year who's under 40 years old, win a national championship, and he does it with an all-time individual performance from Walter Clayton, who will surely be the most outstanding player should Florida win it. Either way, you can't lose if you're a basketball fan. Monday night's going to be incredible. I can't wait for it. What a night tonight was. Thanks for watching. Thanks for everybody listening. And by the way, sorry for I said last time we did the live stream I wanted to do a show. I was hoping to do a boots on the ground show before the games tipped off. It just couldn't have. TJ, both of our flights got delayed. We had production issues. A bunch of shit happened, and I apologize for that. So sorry for not doing a Final Four preview. But yeah, that's how I see the national championship going. I would slightly favor Houston, I think, but yeah, I don't know how anybody can feel confident one way or another when you have a team in Florida led by a guy who will just simply not let them lose, and you have a coach and a culture in Houston that just like simply will not lose. I don't know what's going to happen on Monday. I'm calling overtime, I guess. We're getting like 7 overtimes. That'll probably happen. Can't wait for it. We'll be back here Monday night. I will say though, one little wrinkle. I think I'm staying for the whole game. I got to stay for the whole game Monday night, right? I can't miss. So I think Monday night I might be a little late starting the show because I got to walk back from the Alamo Dome. But I'm going to stay in the building because I don't want to miss. It's going to be an incredible finish. It's going to come down to there's just like no world where one team's going to beat the other by 15 or something. So I think it's going to come down to the wire. I want to stay in the building for it and take it all in. So, but we will go live as soon as we can after the game on Monday. I will get my ass back here as soon as I can, and we will break it all down Monday night after a new national champion is crowned in college basketball. Thank you for watching tonight. Congratulations to Houston. Congratulations to Florida. I will see you all on Monday. Good night, everybody.